Welcome into the captivating world of vegan macaroons. Whether you are a seasoned chef, an eager student, or a dedicated home baker, I'm so happy to see you joining the demo. I'm Chef Ribana, and I'm so excited to take you on a journey where we'll transform some sunflower seeds, Doritos chips, sugar, and potato protein into captivating vegan macaroons using the classic French method. So let's gather our equipment and ingredients. We all know that mise en place, it is the essential step for a panic-free baking experience. Once we've got the equipment ready, the ingredients for making the shells and making the filling, we are in that place that we can dive into making those vibrant macaroons. So we'll start by hydrating the protein, then whisk it into a fluffy meringue. Then we'll incorporate the caster sugar and the color. We will continue by grinding down the seeds and the chips along with the icing sugar, ensuring an even texture with careful sifting. Then we'll step into macaronage, followed by piping and a good break, which will give the shells the time to dry before baking and will allow us to set the oven to heat at 140 degrees Celsius and also to prepare some delightful fillings. Now, finally, we'll bake our macaroons. We'll let them cool, then sandwich them with the fillings we've prepared. Then we'll present and enjoy. So let's get our hands busy. Now, step one, making the meringue. That's where the magic begins. So we'll hydrate the protein in the mixer's bowl. We'll put some chilled water, super chilled water. The water temperature should be about 2 degrees. If you don't have some chilled water in your fridge, then you can add some blocks of ice and just speed up the process of cooling. Then you add the potato protein and the xanthan gum. I usually intend to use the whisk and just froth the mixture by hand to hydrate the protein a little bit before whisking. And then I intend to transfer the bowl into the mixer and start whisking it for about 2 minutes at medium speed. That's literally to ensure that I get a bit of a foam before I start the properly whisking. And we'll let the whisk loosen to ensure that it reaches the bottom of the bowl. And when we've got enough foam created, then we feed the whisk properly and we increase the speed to high and continue to whisking for about 5 more minutes until the foam looks really good in structure. Music. Now we do have the foam created quite nicely, still soft. So I'm going to fit the whisk properly and then go for high speed now for about 5 minutes. Now after the 5 minutes, when our foam is well formed, it does have a good body, but it's still soft because there is no sugar. We'll start adding the sugar, the caster sugar. We'll continue to whisk at a high speed for further 5 minutes. Just stop in between and just add sugar from the side and carry on to complete the 5 minutes whisking. Now, while the stand mixer performs the whisking, we will make the sunflower seed meal. We'll grind the seeds, which have been baked a little bit, so they are roasted, using a coffee grinder. We'll transform those sunflower seeds into a fine powder. As those seeds are very high in oil, we'll mix them with icing sugar. Either way, we need to do the equal quantity of icing sugar and sunflower seeds to make the tant pour tant. But the added sugar will also prevent the seeds from turning into a paste rather than a powder. And then to refine the mixture and get a smooth look on the shells and avoid any potential lumps into the meal or sugar, we'll use a food processor. We'll do just a quick blitz, and then in the end, we'll use a normal sieve to make sure the dry ingredients are all ready to be used, and we'll set them on the side.
Foxy music. Foxy music. Foxy music. Foxy music.
So our meal, sunflower meal, is ready. Now, while the stand mixer performs the whisking, we will make the Doritos meal. Using a coffee grinder, we'll transform those chips into a fine powder. Now, depending on the preference, you can choose the whatever flavor of Doritos you want. But for a hot deal, I would say use the chili heat waves chips. Now we'll smash the Doritos first by hand, but then we'll grind the crumbles using the coffee grinder. But we'll mix the crumbles with some icing sugar to make the tant pour tant. Now this added sugar will also prevent the crumbs from turning into a paste, as they do contain fat. And to refine the mixture, we'll just put everything for a quick blitz through our food processor. And then we'll use the sieve to ensure that we've got no lumps into a meal of sugar and everything is ready for the next step. So we'll prepare the dry ingredients and we'll put them on the side.
Foxy music. Foxy music.
So we've transformed the Doritos into a fine powder by grinding them through our coffee grinder along with some icing sugar. But in this recipe, we are also going to use some almond flour. So the super fine powder of the Doritos with my almond meal and with the icing sugar will constitute the total of dry ingredients which I'm going to use for the recipe. So I'm going to place those into my food processor. And then I'm going to sieve. The reason why I'm using a mix of Dorito chips and almond flour is that the chips are made out of a corn flour, which intends to cornmeal, intends to absorb too much of the moisture. And that means that my butter, the mix, will end up being too firm, and it will be very difficult for me to get through the macaronage with ease and get the right flow for the macarons. So I'm going to get the flavor of the Doritos, but some of the flavor of the almond meal as well. So our dry ingredients are now ready.
Foxy Music. Foxy Music.
At this stage, I'm going to add the color, just a tiny touch of color. I don't want a vibrant color on my macarons, but I do want a little bit of color to resemble the sunflower. So I'm going to put the tip of a knife of some deco relief color. Just going to carry on whisking with high speed to incorporate the color. And at this point, when I can see that the meringue is well formed, actually it just filled up my whisk because it's so firm, I'm going to transfer the meringue into my large bowl. Trying to get everything away from the whisk. And just transfer the meringue. And I'm going to start adding the dry ingredients. And incorporate, scraping the sides of the bowl and then just folding in. Scraping the bottom of the bowl. And adding one more round. and scraping the sides, bottom, so that all the dry powders get nicely incorporated. And the last part. Now the dry ingredients are incorporated. Haven't actually started the macaronage. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pop a little bit of this mix into my piping bag, but just a little bit, pretty much like, you know, what I get onto my spatula. And I'm going to add some orange powder and going to mix this quickly in here. All I want is to coat my bag with this orangey shade of color. Okay, and then obviously just spreading the mixture and then twisting the end because I don't want the end to be wide open. So when I put my mixture to start floating on the side. Okay, and then I will carry on with my macaronage. Flattening my mixture on the walls of the bowl and then just grabbing the mixture onto the center, towards the center. I want that kind of a lava look consistency, but the way how I'm going to check is by lifting the mixture on the silicone spatula and leave it to drop on back on the bowl and see if the ribbon breaks. If it doesn't break and it flows continuously, that means it's done, which is actually what happens right here. It's a continuous flow, which means I'm at the right stage. So I just have to put my mixture into the bag. Just using this jug to as a support for my bag. Now, if you feel that your wrist is a bit weak and you cannot cope with piping large quantities in one go, nothing wrong in putting the mixture into loads. Just going to scrape everything. Away. Okay. And now my bag is ready for piping. And so is my baking trays and my Teflon paper. So I'm going to start piping some circles. I'm going to use a 3 centimeters template, which I'm going to pop underneath my Teflon sheet to set the template in the right place. Going to twist the end of the piping bag, keeping the piping bag upright. All I want is to create some dome shapes without a pick. So I keep my bag perpendicular, squeeze to get the right size. And to stop the flowing, all I have to do is to do like a little swirl. So squeeze, stop, swirl. Squeeze, stop, swirl. That really helps me to keep the size of the macarons under control. And this contrast between my yellow and orange, it just gives a really nice decorating effect. At any point, if you need to stop the piping process, you can lift up the, keep the end of the bag secure, just lift up the nozzle, and obviously the mixture will stop running. So carry on with doing the rest. Using a template is quite beneficial because it just puts your mind to rest. You don't have to think about where you should pipe, literally just follow the template. Also, if you pipe various sizes, say for example, you make shells to order and you do offer a variety of shapes and sizes, it can be very tricky to remember exactly how big they should be piped for a certain size. So we do make them in 3 centimeters, 4, 5, 6, and it can be quite confusing. So having a template, it helps a lot. So just going to carry on to complete the whole mat. Now those shells will have to go on the side to dry. Before baking. Okay, I'm going to lift the nozzle, place it on the side, get one corner of the mat and just tap, and then go to the next one, tap, go to the next one and tap, go to the next one and tap. Now, to remove any potential air bubbles, I can get a toothpick and I can just look around and see if there are any air bubbles, and if there are, I can just poke them out. Or I can transfer my macarons onto the tray and I can smash the tray, whatever works for you. And if any of the macarons will join, that's no problem. It was just my mistake that I went a bit wonky. Honestly, I have to wear glasses when I pipe. And because I didn't, it just kind of went a little bit off control. But it's going to be fine. So those shells will have to be put away to dry. Now the drying time will vary if your room is well ventilated and if it's warm, and if it's dry, obviously the drying time will be quite short. It can be even 20 minutes, but typically it's between like 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Now, to speed up the process, you can use the little fans, but the problem is you can't really just put the fans to blow straight on over the tray, because that means some of the macarons will dry quite quick and then you will get problems when you will come to baking. So if you can try and put the fan so that they circulate the air on top of the area where your macarons are set for drying, that would be good. But do not put the fan right on top of the macarons. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this on the side to dry, and then I will do a different style of piping. Now with this style of piping, I'm going to try and replicate the shape of a flower. We'll start with a star flower first. Now it's a bit tricky because you have to change the angle of the bag, and you might end up, having a little bit of mixture running on the side. But it's literally just piping a little dot and then elongating that dot. That's all you have to do. So, and obviously you can make as many petals as you like, and it is a little bit time consuming, so do allow for more time when it comes to this. And just keep your bag and the position of your hand in whatever way you feel is more comfortable, and do not aim for perfection. Just do whatever you can. As I said, it is a little bit challenging, so don't be hard on yourself. Just going to carry on piping 2 more. So just to complete a set of 2. They are not my favorite shapes, but just wanted to, in case that you want to practice a little bit more and get them done perfectly, be my guest. Now, the other ones which I intend to prefer are when the shells are pointing the center of the flower. And I think those look better, even if they are not that close to the shape of the sunflower. Yeah. So piping those elongated dots looking pretty much like shells. It does allow me to actually keep my hand and just turn my wrist in the way I want without turning the mat around too much. And I'm trying to pipe about 4 petals, 7 to 8 petals. So if you somehow focus to get to 4 elongated dots on half of the flower and then 4 on the other half, then you can get to 4 petals. So squeezing. Okay, I don't have enough here to pipe one more. I can squeeze and just pipe
Foxy music.
round one. Good. I'm not going to shake shake those shapes too much, but I will go over with a toothpick and see if there are any holes, any air bubbles showing. Just going to tidying those up. Okay, and those will go on the side again to dry, and then they will be safe to touch. Then we'll put them in the oven to bake. So getting a break, allowing the shells to dry, and preparing the filling while the shells are drying. Our sunflower macarons are dry and ready to go in the oven. If we kind of touch, nothing comes on our finger. They do look quite matte, so they've lost that humidity, that glossiness, and I think they just look right for getting into the oven. We'll bake them for about 12 minutes at 140 degrees Celsius. So we'll put them in the oven and we'll come back to see how they look once they are chilled. Now my piping bag is already set with tip number 12, and I've got a jug which I'm going to use to support the bag. I'm just going to transfer my powders. Now this is the mix of almonds, Doritos, and sugar. Just folding in the dry ingredients, scraping the sides and the bottom of the bowl. And the last one. Now the consistency is a little bit firmer, as we did say about this Dorito meal that is practically based on cornmeal, which is more absorbent, so it absorbs more moisture than the almond meal. So it will take a little bit longer for getting to the right flow. But I just want to transfer a little bit of my mix in here and do a similar thing with my orange color, as I want those specks of orange to show through when I'm going to pipe the shapes. Again, just coloring the mix with that orange powder to coat the whole bag. I'm going to twist the end of the bag, place it in here, get it ready. And then focus now on the macaronage. Going to spread the mixture on the side of the bowl. Try and get rid of the excess air. Then I will scrape the sides. And when I notice that I get the right flow, I tend to check to see where I am. If I lift my mixture on the spatula, I can see that the ribbon is flowing without breaking, which means that we are at the right stage, having the right consistency. So just going to scrape the sides, go to my bag. Then lift the bag. And add the rest. And it's all ready to pipe. Now the mixture is ready, so we'll start piping. And I'm going to use a template for one of the mats. Going over, twisting the end of the bag, and going right perpendicular squeezing to get the right size and stopping the flow by doing the twist. During the piping, the tip of the nozzle is buried into the mix so that it doesn't trap more air bubbles. I often see people keeping the bag too far away from the shells, which means that is a potential risk of incorporating even more air. So the tip of the nozzle should stay in contact with the mixture all the time. Now that my mat is completed, I have to take the template away. And then I'm going to secure one end of the mat and then just tap the other one and then go to the opposite one and do the same shake and just literally just move around to flatten the macarons and get rid of all the air bubbles. Now, if that's not really your, I would say, bread and butter, just transfer the mat onto your tray and then just tap the tray. And that will also help the air bubbles to escape. It is quite noisy, so I intend not to do it, but if you prefer to do it, that's absolutely fine. If you still notice any air bubbles, then you get a toothpick and then just poke those air bubbles and make sure that the surface of the macaron looks nice and smooth. For piping different other shapes for our macarons, we can use templates or we can practically just do freehand piping. So for example, to do some triangles, we'll do pressure piping. And depending on the size we want to go for, we can make those triangles smaller or larger, keeping the bag pretty much perpendicular and describing the outlining, then filling in the body of the triangle. Those will have to be shaped to make sure that there will be no air bubbles. Now, if the shape doesn't look exactly like we want, we can always just go over and then just tidy up a little bit. And retap. So not the end of the world if the shapes are not looking great. We can always just tidy up as we go along. What is important is to make sure that we don't have too many air bubbles on the top and the surface looks nice and leveled. Okay. Now that our triangles are done, I'm going to sprinkle some of the tortilla crumbs. And we'll just leave those to dry before setting them into the oven. Our Doritos macarons are now ready to go in the oven. If we touch them, we see that the shells are dry. Nothing comes off on our finger, so they can go in the oven to bake for about 12 minutes and 14 minutes at 140 degrees. Once they will be baked, we'll leave them to cool. Then we'll add the filling and decorate. We'll now start preparing some delicious filling for our sunflower macarons. We'll look at the ingredients. Going to soften the butter. add the powders, the icing sugar and the cocoa powder. Then a touch of vanilla essence, as I'm using just some Dr. Oetker vanilla essence, just a tiny touch, as I've got a small amount, and also some rum, or you can put like alcohol if you prefer. Going to add some tahini paste, just a tiny touch. Some sunflower seeds, finely grated. And some cinnamon. I'm going to stir those powders before putting my mixer on. Trying to incorporate them a bit. And to make sure I'm not going to cover the whole area with dust, I'm going to get my cling film and just pop my mixer underneath. And we'll transfer the cream into a piping bag. I'm using a number 2D nozzle. Just going to place the tube inside of the bag. And cut the end, then twist the bag. And just transfer the cream into the bag. Our filling is ready. All we have to do is just wait for the shells to cool so that we can assemble them. Are now out of the oven. They are quite chilled. You take the mat away and detach. Majority will come off quite easy, but some of them might get stuck a little bit, like this one in here. This is always a good idea to take them away from the mat with care. So just sliding each macaroon one by one, pushing from underneath. Now we are going to assemble the sunflower macaroon shells using the filling we've prepared just a little bit earlier. So we'll get to the shell and start squeezing a decent amount of filling. But as an option, if you prefer to have the mix a little bit sweeter, then you can add some caramel sauce. Just put that right in the center. And put the second shell to sandwich. Again, so again. Alternating or chocolate filling with the caramel.
Foxy Music. Foxy Music. Foxy Music. Foxy Music.
Our macarons are now ready to be enjoyed. They look super cool with this marble effect, and I'm pretty sure they taste delicious. We'll now prepare the filling for our Doritos macarons. I've got here some butter, some soft cheese, some feta cheese, some pepper and dill, and also some cucumber to add as an extra for crunchiness. Going to soften the butter, mix it with the soft cheese. Just going to scrape. Get everything all together. Add the feta cheese. But there is no need for extra salt as the feta cheese is already salty. Just going to put some pepper. Then add the dill. And I'm also going to add a spoon or sour cream. I'm going to transfer the cheese filling into a bag with a large star nozzle. As we have two different shapes for our Doritos macarons, we'll use two different fillings. For the round ones, we'll use a dark chocolate ganache, and we'll put a dot of caramel sauce in the center, similar with what we did on the sunflower macarons. And for the triangle ones, we'll use our cheese filling And we can pick between adding some dill and cucumbers. Maybe even few crumbles of spicy tortilla. And we sandwich them. Or we can use the cheese and the crunch red pepper and some tortilla flakes. Those shells are super soft, so they should be maneuvered with care. Different types of presentations. One, a savory option for those looking to enjoy the Doritos shells macaroons with some cheese filling, with some salsa sauce, or the Doritos shells macaroons with some dark chocolate ganache for those who want a little bit of sweetness. This concludes our vegan, nut-free, and gourmand macaron shell adventure. I hope the demo has inspired you to give vegan macarons a try and to see how sunflower and Doritos flavors taste like. If you will make some, please share your creations and tag me, Chef Ribana, Master Macarons. And for more inspiration, join me at mastermacarons.com. I would love to see your unique twists and flavors. I'm sure you will come up with some fantastic ones. And remember, whether it's baking or anything else, we find purpose in action. Don't strive for perfection. Strive for whatever makes you proud and happy. Thank you.